Hey everybody, Steve here, and today I want to talk about mining rig cooling. And for the longest time, I've basically had my rigs just kind of out in the open in the room here. It gets really hot in the room, and it's really, really loud. So I was looking for a solution online. So anyhow, a guy on YouTube by the name of Angry Chicken gets all the credit for this idea. What Angry Chicken enlightened me about was the use of a hydroponic tent to put the rigs in. It's really helped me get everything up from out in the open using this kind of setup to basically going in the tent. And essentially I want to take you kind of on a little tour. I basically did what Angry Chicken did, and I just kind of made it work for my specific application. And I'm going to go ahead and show you that. Let's go ahead and start with exhaust. These hydroponic tents allow they have these big holes in them, so you can put these 8-inch ducts in them. And obviously heat rises, so this duct right here is actually sucking. It's pulling heat out. And I'll show you, kind of see where it's going there. It's going down and around, and I'm gonna pick it up on the other side. All right, so all I did was come around the front here, and that is the heat one. Let me go ahead and pull out so you can see a little bit more. The heat one runs down, and it goes into this inline fan right here, which I'll list the description for. And it continues on this way, and then it loops back around, and then it goes back that way. Picking it back up right here, it comes, and it's blowing all that heat out the window. So essentially what I did was, let's see here, back out a little bit. I cut a piece of board to size, cut an 8-inch hole in it. And I actually have the fitting that I used. So this is the fitting that I used, and essentially you put the duct over this part right here, and it snugs up against the piece of wood right here. And then what you do with these guys on the other side of the piece of wood is you can flap them out like that so it stays in place. Once you flap them all out, you've got a flat surface on the other side as well. So that's the heat side, and I'll show you the inside in a second, but let me show you the cold side. Okay, so for the cold side, I've got another one of those fans, and essentially what that's doing is it's pulling the cold air and it's pumping it into the tent down at the bottom. So cold air in the bottom, hot air out the top. Okay, so I'm pulling cold air from two sources. When it's cold enough outside, I'm pulling it from outside, and there's a filter on the end of that to cut down on the amount of bad stuff that's coming in. And essentially that comes in and it continues on and down that line right there, and it ends up inside the tent. Now, for when summer's right around the corner, and I haven't had to use this very much, but I also have it branching off and going into a portable AC unit. Now, this AC unit right now is just blowing a fan. It is not using air conditioning. When it's running as a fan, it runs at about 54 watts. When it runs as an air conditioner, it bumps up to about 1,000 watts. So obviously I want to cut down on as much usage of the air conditioning as I possibly can. And for the most part through the winter, I haven't had to use this thing at all. It's an abnormally warm winter. Right now it's actually already around 70 degrees outside. So I'm supplementing that air with some air here. And here's the cool thing is, look at the temp in here. The temp in here is a nice, comfortable 73 degrees, and that's even with this guy blazing away. So once I get this guy inside the tent, I won't have the excess heat from him. And the reason why he's not in the tent yet is because I'm having troubles with the Gigabyte B250 board that's supposed to handle up to 12 GPUs, but I have yet to be able to get more than 6 to run on it. As soon as you put 7 on it, it arrows out. And I haven't been able to find a solution online yet. So I'm still troubleshooting this one, but it will end up in its home inside the tent. So let's go ahead and see inside the tent. All right, so the tent it's got 16 GPUs in it right now. It's at a nice 77 degrees with 37% humidity. And this is essentially what I've got in here. So in here, I'm running 2 stacks of 8 AMD RX 580s. And let me show you what the cooling setup is. So here's the cooling duct coming in, and essentially it comes across and it's blowing quite strongly right here, and that's nice cool air right there. But another thing that I did was I cut a couple slits in it to even out where the air is coming from. And this has got a big gaping hole in it right here so that this fan can blow air across the front. You can see that with the big hole, that fan is pushing cold air across the front of everything. And then I've got this other fan here to help just move as much air as possible. And then I've got a bonus fan right here. So that's basically the cooling side. And here's the big sucker right there, all the way at the top. It is very strongly sucking all the heat out of this thing. So there's the hot side right there, and coming down the cool side right here. So as it is right now, this cooling system is doing a great job. The GPU fans are all working at around 50%, and their temperature is staying. The hottest one is running around 70 degrees Celsius, and the rest of them are running actually in the 60s and some of them in the 50s. My whole goal is to not have them working very hard. The vast majority of these GPUs in here are BIOS modded, so they're running 28, 29. I've got a couple that I haven't done yet that on this rack that are running probably 26 and a half, 27 and a half. Another thing I love about the tent is it's got a side door, so I have real easy access to get to my boards if I need to go in there and do any maintenance or whatever. So here's more of a pulled out shot of the side. The fans do not come with these cool dials that allow you to adjust fan speed to your liking. These are extra. If you notice the tent bowing inwards, I have negative pressure in the tent, which means it's drawing out more air than it's bringing in. My goal is to basically just extract as much of that heat out as I possibly can. So, when I get this guy in there, that's going to really make a difference to the temperature of this room. This room is pretty comfortable now. It's a tick on the hot side, but as soon as I get him in there, this room will be nice and comfortable, and the tent will be nice and comfortable. And the other thing is that I can't say that it's quiet, but I can say that it's significantly quieter than it was when I had everything out in the open. This is a decibel meter in the room, 73. At one point, you might have seen it in a previous video I had, without the ducting on the fans, I had one fan pushing air out and one fan pulling air in, and the decibel level in here was actually over 100. It sounded like a damn jet airplane. So that's where I'm coming from when I'm saying that it's relatively quiet. The other thing is that when I lay some egg crate material over the fans, it actually makes it a little bit quieter. So I'm gonna come up with a more permanent solution for this, but yeah. So fortunately, I haven't had to use the AC much at all. Obviously, when I put the third rig in there and it gets to be summertime, I'm gonna have to use it. So I know there's a lot of people out there that boo-hoo the idea of using an air conditioner. My goal is simply to get my GPUs to run for as long as humanly possible. I'd rather underwork my GPUs and spend a little bit more money on electricity. This thing's running at 1,000 watts, so what is that, 1,020? If it were running 24 hours a day at 10 cents, that'd be $2.40 a day. The good news is that it doesn't have to run 24/7. I can actually just engage the thermostat, have it go back and forth between air conditioning and thermostat. So it'll be essentially going back and forth, monitoring the temperature, which means that I could probably get my cost down to half of that, so $1.20. So everybody has their own opinions. My personal opinion is at the expense of some extra air conditioning. I'd rather have my GPUs not being overtaxed 24/7. I'd like to get as much as I possibly can out of these guys. So if that means I'm spending an extra $1.50 a day on electricity to keep these guys going for much longer, that's fine. So anyhow, I'm Steve, and this is my cooling setup for my currently 22 GPUs. And as soon as I figure out this board, I'll tack on a couple more and I'll put them all in a tent and I'll do a follow-up video. But mad props to Angry Chicken. Thank you so much for the idea. It's ingenious. And if you want a nice, comfortable mining room, this is definitely the way to go. So anyhow, I'm Steve signing off till the next video. Please like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.